All right, GM, everyone, and welcome back to another Bondex Talks. I'm Paul with Bondex here, and one of the things that we love to do is to bring some people from some great companies onto the Bondex Talks to really introduce them to our community, and especially the ones that we find particularly exciting. And I think this is a great week in terms of the stories that we've seen. We've seen a lot of talk with AI and a lot of talk with Web3. So I'm really excited today to be joined by Arta from GT Protocol. Arta, do you want to go ahead and just introduce yourself? Let us know a bit about who you are and a bit about GT Protocol. And then I just want to get stuck into all things AI and Web3.
Yeah, hello, people, and hello, Paul. Thanks for having us here. It's a pleasure for me to be around people who are excited about the things which Web3 are uh, bringing to the people globally. And I am a partnership manager at GD Protocol, and I joined the team earlier this year, but I've been with decentralized topics since 2016 when I was one of the founders of a student association. And we just kept lectures and things like that, discussions at the stages when everybody from the students could have bought some Bitcoin. And since then, been around. So that's just a very brief overview about me. And I think we'll talk more about GD Protocol today.
Yeah, interesting. Well, thanks for sharing that. I think one of the things that interests me a lot about the future of work, I know that's a lot of our community are baked into thinking about how will I show up as a professional in the future? How will that affect me? And the big conversation, the big narrative we're seeing at the moment is AI will be a disruptor to that. But what I like about GT Protocol is that you guys are really seeing AI as an enabler for people to earn in new ways. And I think that's exciting. It's exciting for our audience to understand this. And I would love to you to maybe just unpack a bit about what you're working on at GT Protocol and some of the things that you're offering there.
Yeah, we at GD Protocol built an AI layer for asset management. And what is that? That's a conversational interface. It's like talking to your friend, and that friend is very, very smart in all crypto things. So on the user experience, we aim and we think we can get there pretty soon when people will be just able to talk in a voice conversation or text conversation, which are they like best, asking questions and getting very well resourced and researched answers, data driven, but presented in a very understandable or saying it professionally in an actionable way. So you can understand in your app or on your device what is being brought to you about this huge raw data which is necessary to make an assessment about whether a meme token or any other asset is good or not, or for what it is good. Is it good for short or is it good for long? Is it good for whatever? And yeah, that's what we are building now to enable people to uh, manage their assets, to change them, to move them, to bridge them, to trade them, and to do all sorts of other things, which we believe, in the end of the day, this is the technology or this is the opportunity of this decade for a generational wealth leap. So every decade or every generation has its own, uh, I don't know, gold fever kind of thing. And we believe that AI and Web3 and somewhere in between is that exactly thing which is giving a lot of opportunities on a massive scale globally.
I think what's interesting, Arthur, is at the moment there's a huge story, and I hope you're aware of it, of goat. So for those that don't know, goat is a meme coin project that was birthed out of a experimental project called Truth Terminal. Truth Terminal was a idea of getting what happens when you get chatbots to chat to chatbots and AI to chat to AI. It sparked a lot of interest from, I think, notably Mark Andreessen, who gave it 50K of worth of Bitcoin. And then one of the outputs of that was that it went ahead and asked its developer to kind of connect some different APIs. The developer did that, and then it started growing and growing until eventually it created a meme coin because somebody tweeted about it, and then that meme coin then has gone on to make a market cap of kind of $700-800 million market cap. It's just such a wild story that's out there in the ether. It caught my attention as a bit of a turning point in terms of how people think about wealth and AI's ability to generate wealth. They've said this is the very first AI millionaire. Um, how, like, from my perspective, I think about AI a lot in terms of it's unbelievably powerful, but do I trust it enough to give it access to my wallet? We've just seen a first case example of an AI who's got full access to a wallet and has now made, arguably 800 million, close to $1 billion in 4 days, which is crazy. Sure, it's not in a traditional trading perspective, but what's your take on this story? Where do you see the future of AI and its ability to maximize the economic opportunity for people?
Yeah, that's a really cool story, and I believe, in my opinion at least, it's edge story. So 1 or 2 years maybe down the road, we would look at this, to this sort of thing. This is the old good days when that was possible, because nowadays we have so many regulations and other things in place, and we have now issues about deep fakes in global news this year, right? And probably 1 year from now, there will be just old good stories, because we'll get AI models to prove it's not an AI content or things like that. So the main thing which I try to bring is, with the development of tools, we develop as humans safeguards. So we kind of, at some day, we invented a knife, and then we made a blade guard, right? So you don't cut your fingers when you use a knife and you get something hard and things like that. So I think AI is a tool developed by humans and will make our finger guards about AIs. And that's why we are so keen to develop it, to make it smart, because we know we'll limit it. But it won't be any better than it is now. It will be just limited. So as good as it gets, then it'll get limited to things it doesn't have to do. And we're very smart in inventing all sorts of limits. Just look at our political map. It's all sorts of lines which are not crossable, and many other examples. So I believe there is a lot of potential in AI, and we'll make it work so it doesn't harm.
So what my favorite art is, I'd love you to, a lot of our audience with Bondex, they're going to have, maybe a couple $100 in an account, or even more for some of them, like a few $1,000 just sat in an account. And a lot of people's understanding when it comes to investing in crypto has been through, okay, I'll just invest in a coin over here. And, I do want to put a disclaimer, none of this is investment advice. But if you were to put yourselves in someone's shoes who wanted to experiment with AI, and obviously GT Protocol is one kind of place they can experiment with that, what things would you be doing? What other platforms exist that allow you to use AI to help increase earnings? What would you recommend people kind of go ahead and do?
Yeah, so like with any initiative to produce some yield, like you can have your $100 and you can go and buy, I don't know, some corn or wheat from the grain store and just drop it in your ground and hope you'll get a harvest. That's very simple, right? And that's not an investment or financial advice, but you get the point. You will get some yield from that. So the question which we build the tool to answer is what seed to buy and how much it can yield, and where you'll be selling your harvest in the end. So we are not saying give it to us and we'll make it fruitful. The whole point of what we're doing is not about that. And I honestly, being in that industry for a while, I'm very, very distrustful of anyone saying that give it to me, I'll give it more to you. Because always there is risk. And on the other hand, we have a lot of tools to predict because there are facts, there are statistics, there are mathematical algorithms which, in a manner of probability, can predict certain things. So there is a very low probability that something will happen, which means in the normal scenario that would happen and that would happen. And that algorithmical thinking is what makes GT protocol AI assistant a helpful tool. It will tell you whether you buy corn or this specific seed and you put it in that specific ground, give it that specific care. When the autumn comes, you will harvest statistically that amount of corn. And that is the market of corn, which is predicted for the next year based on all the other corn and other seedlings market, whatever. I'm just bringing this agricultural example because we have to be very careful what we talk about yield generating products. And I think it makes a picture which is clear for everybody. It's applicable to any asset.
Mm. So where has AI and investing gone wrong? Do you have any examples you can think of where you've seen AI being put into practice and it's really not worked?
I think AI is impossibly stupid in human interactions.
Mm.
So for me, the failure use case of AI is a man understanding a woman kind of thing.
Okay, are we going to be talking relationships here, Arthur? Let's go. I
No,
mean, we all need.
I'm just you asked a tricky question, so I'm giving you a tricky answer,
I
and we
like it.
can
Yeah,
move
yeah.
on.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
but
so the
that's my
idea.
opinion where AI is absolutely useless because AI is a creature of a creature and it cannot overpass what we have come for. So we've been for thousands of years thinking about it and we haven't figured it out. So yeah, there's areas where AI won't surpass us.
Interesting. So that in terms of a kind of downfall is for an AI to essentially mimic a human or to be as human in its responses or in its interactions. Because it won't be able to do that, you don't feel it's going to be. You feel like people who are asking that of AI right now, that's where it kind of falls short. Am I understanding you correctly?
Yeah, I think in my opinion, we can get fooled as people. We're prone to that. But on the other hand, there is something in people which we sense on something which is not wired. I don't know how to explain that. It's quite raw in my head still, but that's what I think. Even the sci-fi movies
Yeah.
got always brought up that in the end one hero, the last standing man, has to shoot out all the robots in the room, and there is one man which is dressed alike, and then there is something, I don't know, six sense kind of uh, feeling, and then yeah, you're human, and yeah, from all that pile of robots which look like they're human, they pick who are human. So I think yeah,
Interesting. Well, one of the things with
at least
Bondex,
I
we think a
like
lot
to
about.
believe
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
it. Sorry.
So good. Well, one of the things we think about a lot is obviously how AI can help people get jobs. We are about to release, we're hoping to do it today, but I think it's going to be on Thursday or Friday. Some big new AI features for us, which are helping people search tens of thousands of jobs and return only the ones that match their CV. It's a great use case for talent. Also doing other things where you can get a score of how likely you are to get that role according to your CV. Another great use case for AI. And we've added even more as well around actually helping employers filter using AI. And so we're using AI a lot. Like we see the benefits of AI in helping users get roles. One of the other things, and you touched on it there, this idea of being human, that we're thinking a lot about is how about when it comes to, you know, in the US, for example, a company is seen as a human, right? Or as an individual with individuals' rights. And for the first time, an AI, on the earlier story I mentioned, has gone ahead and set up a company and essentially has like individual rights, which is kind of strange to think about it. So when it comes to like verified credentials and understanding, how people show up online and the type of proof that kind of shows up online, what are you guys thinking about with GT protocol when it comes to that interaction between AI and humans? Do you have any kind of verified credentials that you require either side? Is there anything there where you want to make sure that either the AI is pulling from verified sources or that the interactions with the human is like a verified human? How do you guys think about credentials and the way that people show up, but also the verified credentials of the data that the AI is pulling from?
Yeah, I'm coming to that, so I have to make a build up to my answer.
Build it
So
up. I want to, yeah, yeah,
GDP
yeah.
protocol is making the assistant which takes all the available information accessible through online, basically, like what is fundable, what you can get, and then sorts out, analyzes, and in a way compresses all that bazillion amount of information into bits which are congestible by a human, right? Which means short, concise, and leading towards very certain conclusions. So, in that regard, for us, in a way, it's not our big concern now to prove whether that information which is fed into the system is AI generated, because in the end, we are capable as a GTAI to provide only AI generated content, right? And we do not intend to put a human verifier upon facts. On the other hand, so it doesn't matter for us where the data comes from, because we will analyze the data which is there. On the other hand, we are already into deep discussions with other players on the market with AI, which are concerned specifically about labeling human generated content versus AI generated content. And into that, there is some more degrees. So we know people can lie, and we know AI can fake. And this all means at least there are four categories, which is human truth, human lie, AI truth, and AI fake, right? And all of that is labeled, and there are more shades to gray into this thing. And there are companies which, in very different areas, will develop a kind of standard of the industry to certain feeds of information. So we can see now big news outlets putting human verified. I've seen
Mm,
that on BBC and on others, so where they present news and they confirm that they went humanly and checked the fact that this, I don't know, video or whatever information is true to the fact of life. And on the other hand, we
interesting.
have Web3, which is on chain. So any information which is on chain, we deem at the default, it's a true information. So whatever happened on chain is by default a true, unchanged information. So it's trackable on whatever blockchain scanner, whichever is that blockchain. And for that regard, any on-chain action, we, as a default, we track it as true, and it's not neither human generated nor AI generated. So it doesn't matter who did the transaction is true. So you see, we came into a landscape which was like empty, and on blank we already have fake and true, and we have to sort out which fake we trust and which truth we don't trust, because this can be a claim for a real person really saying some words, but in the essence their message is not true. So
Mm.
that's a whole loop of verifications in a way. And why is that important? Because some of the facts which we analyze about some crypto assets is the community sentiment. So how do you sort out in 1,000 comments one real user saying they stole my money, and in
Mm.
900 comments generated by an AI, this is a cool project?
Mm. How do you do
That's
that?
the questions. How do you do that? And you will need that real user to be kind of researched, investigated in a way into whether that's true or not. And
I re- I
yeah,
re-
there are tools online. There are Web3 AI tools which give a lot more value to that one real user linking his wallet with that faulty transaction to that thousands of AI generated fake reports of this is nice and cool.
I- and we need more of that as well. I think so it's really interesting when you mention about even the BBC News are now saying this is human verified. I want to know, well, how many other things have they verified, and which things have they verified that are not true, right? Because I know there's been a lot of articles the BBC have said are verified, and I'm like, that ain't true. Even I know some of the things that verified aren't true. And I think that's also interesting as well, is seeing this proof of work, actually seeing not only who is the human that's verified it, but what is the proof that they've done, and what's the history as well? How consistent have they been and on that history? I think as well, like this is a trend that it's interesting that you're drawing onto in terms of helping predict what the outcomes of certain investments might be. And then from Bondex, from our side, we're also looking at this to help predict how successful an employee may be in a new role, or how successful that that opportunity might look like. And I think it's scary as well, because the more you say, like on-chain reputation is an on-chain credentials irrefutable, but it's this path as well, which is a delicate path between privacy, you know, and if everything is on chain, how, you know, then I don't want everyone to see absolutely everything about me. I have zero privacy. But if nothing is on chain, then building trust and reputation is really hard. Wait, do you have a viewpoint on that? How do you think about everything on chain versus ultimate privacy? The idea of being able to verify without actually, you know, that user case is a great example. How deep do you go? Do you want to see a biometric ID from that user? And how far do you think this thing will go?
Yeah, I think this sort of concerns were around even at the time when IoT was the dominating narrative about 10 years ago. And back then, people asked, right, we can verify things and give them a digital signature. But what if I want a digital signature, but I don't want it to be a name to my face? So I want to keep my privacy being among humans so nobody knows who I am, right? And then on the other hand, I want to be in the digital realm with all my accolades and whatever achievements I have, all of them proved that I am who I am in that realm. And even now, with the rise of AI tools, you can get perfect employees, but they're fake because everything in the work history and proof of work was done by generative AI. And I think that's just a simple prompt, probably some prompt writers can do in shorter than we talk. And
True.
uh, yeah, I think people who, and we have a generation of people wanting to live high tech off grid, and I think it's a growing trend because people are just wary of being always known and known in every part of their life. So they want to be out of that into their real life with nobody interfering there. So they go off grid at all, they go offline at all, and still they use things, they order online and so on. So it's a big thing. We are now responding to that because we're collecting data and
Mm,
we analyze it and we make conclusions. And this is our approach. We're non-custodial, so we never take any funds from anybody because we're just giving knowledge. We're giving knowledge about what is the conclusion of the facts we have at this moment. So we have this set of facts. Out of this set of facts, on based on our algorithm, we make this conclusion. So
interesting.
what the user does with that conclusion, with that opinion, in a way, it's just an opinion. It's up to the user. So I do believe it's not good when a tool makes decision on behalf of the owner. That's exactly the big riot in agriculture in US now because they have so smart tractors that they're like immune kids, right? They get a little cold and they stop working. And these farmers paid millions of this equipment and they cannot use it. Just stays in the field because it's cold or it's hot or it's windy or it's whatever. So I think AI shouldn't be like that. You shouldn't
Mm,
take decision and locking me out of my assets, out of my resources. You should help me. It's like a normal tool. I want to use a knife, I use it. Does it break? Yeah. I either reshape it or I throw it away and take a new one and make a new one and buy a new one. So any tool should keep their logic on that tool. The tool should not become the owner or the master of its owner.
mm. It's really good. I think one of the things I was thinking as you were talking there was the better the data, the better the prediction can be. And again, what's interesting about hearing you speak, and again, I think about for Bondex, is that the better the data that people can create. And we've just, for those who have just read the new Bondex white paper, you would have seen we've just created a new Bondex ID. And a big part of that is helping curate the best Web 2 and Web 3 data for your profile so that employers and future economic opportunities can predict how much of a fit that you'll be and how much of a fit you'll be for the whether it's an opportunity or a role or anything. And so we know that helping people curate and connect that data together is going to help them find new opportunities in the future. And it's interesting that exactly the same play happens there with GT Protocol. So really cool to hear. I'd love to know, what are you guys thinking about for the future? There's a lot of moving parts in AI. What is on the roadmap for you? What are you building right now? What are you guys excited about in terms of future product releases that are coming for GT Protocol?
Yeah, one thing which is particularly interesting for the users which know us is we've been focused quite a lot. So we've been delivering a lot of tooling and results in the centralized finance, and now we are balancing that with DeFi tools and DeFi algorithms. So that gives access to both CeFi and DeFi opportunities in a more balanced way on our platform. So that that is something huge, and we believe that going further we will see a growth, a significant growth in the DeFi sector. And we want people to be able to access it, because initially we developed the AI tool because we have seen the gap. People find it challenging, difficult, and they just drop out the whole idea of accessing it. So they miss opportunities just because it's difficult to do it. And it's not difficulty on the matter of knowledge or certain skill, which you can go to a certain place like a school, online, offline, and learn it. It's not about that. It's a never changing landscape. So the things you knew 1 year ago, they may be not applicable. So because everything is always changing. So that's not giving anyone an opportunity to be a pro without ever evolving, right? So we're developing our tools not only for newbies, for beginners, for ones who just onboard into Web3. It's also as useful to people who are in crypto and DeFi and CeFi for years, because everything is ever changing. And what we do is you communicate to a simple chat, and the AI executes through APIs everything you are just talking to that tool. So what does that make? It cuts off the human error of misclicking something or not doing it to the end. So you may have discussed a certain strategy you want to do, and then you have to do 100 actions, putting all the dashes and all the clicks and all the uh, bytes, right, and all the limits, and then something distracted you and you forgot where you left, and the time passed and it's not anymore relevant to what you did before because you've missed the moment. But AI is not like that. Once it's given the instruction, it delivers it fully. And that gives a lot of freedom of mind to people, because a lot of people are anxious because I know what to do. But if I copy from one place to another all the actions, if I miss something, it's a whole new thing. Like when you
Mm.
have a strategy, which is a long-term strategy, and you have to put your take profit, stop losses, and other things in place, and you have to be careful with all the numbers and all the decimals, and where is your comma and where is your click and where is it? You have to be super careful, and a lot of people find that increasingly difficult, and especially when you have to change that, adapt that to the market conditions, that's even more stressful. And when your money out there, you find it even more stressful, right? Because people understand,
Mm.
oh, I better not go there, because if I click something wrong and it's gone, it was too painful to do that, right? But having an assistant which is delivering exactly what it's been told to do, that what gives people freedom of mind, and that's the tooling we want to bring. And we believe that people need to know what they do, and once they have an informed decision, we want to give them a tool which will make it exactly into the platforms which deliver. So bringing back the example with the corn I brought from agriculture before, knowing how to put the seedlings and doing all the take caring during the growing stage, right, is one thing, and having an automated tool to do that, it's a whole different level, right? So you don't have to work in your garden, you just come and enjoy your harvest.
Mm.
That's a big difference which we build into this space, and that's an enabling tool. So it gives knowledge and it executes when the user decides to do the actions. So
I love it. I think
yeah.
I remember, from a personal story, I have definitely dabbled in the world of day trading, and I realized I think I was in an airport queue for security, and my phone just blew up in terms of I was getting notifications, the market was crashing, and I had nothing automated. And I'm like, oh my god, I'm having to jump in. I'm tired and I'm trying to get it all done, and the tiny little phone, I'm trying to move the things, but no, it didn't work. And it was at that point I knew this is not the world for me. Like, I love the idea of playing in these spaces and having ideas and strategies, but to your point, with the crypto markets, it's 24/7. It's crazy, and you can't walk in thinking there's going to be, it's going to start at 8 a.m. in the morning and finish at 5 p.m. Doesn't happen. It's 24/7, and anything can happen, and you need these kind of safeguards and automated strategies and all the rest in order to win. So really cool to hear what you guys are building, and it's great to see the parallels as well between GD Protocol and with Bondex, and really look forward to as well developing the partnership that I know we're starting with you. Arthur, is there anything that you want to say before we wrap up, in terms of any kind of things you maybe you wanted to share that maybe we haven't?
No, I would just encourage people to look online to find. I think there will be plenty of links to the products and socials to keep track of things. And I would encourage people not to be scared of what comes up, and just to adapt, to see, to look. And I'm fully sure there is always place for people. So we I'm on the part of the story where we are never to be slaves to machines. I don't believe in that. I think we as humans, we've done so much that we can overcome. And it's a manipulative fear which is seated for whatever reasons. I don't want to go into that. But uh, for real thinkers, that's not a threat, that's a possibility. You are given another tool, and don't be afraid to be online. Don't be afraid to be offline. Just live your life and make use of opportunities. That's what I would say. And yeah, all the best
Well,
for
it's
people.
it's certainly an interesting time to be alive. I do pinch myself sometimes and think, amazing that we're seeing such technological advancements, and great to be at the forefront of that with GT Protocol artists. So thank you very much for sharing with us today, and I hope from our Bondex audience, our Bondins, have learned a thing or two about AI, especially when it comes to helping capture economic opportunities. So Arta, thank you so much for joining us,
Thank you, Paul.
and until next time, we will see you guys soon.
Yes, see you.